people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Poland's own Jasmina Sapotoczna says, I'd love to be a part of the MVP stable.
She's a damn good boxer.
Jasmina Sapotoczna will be ringside at the Olympia on Sunday. The reigning European flyweight champion will be an interested spectator. The first ever UK show for Jake Paul and his most valuable promotions. At the top of the card, in a double main event, the likes of Caroline Dubois, Terry Harper, and Ellie Scottney will look to elevate their careers to the next level. Zapotoczna will be there, hoping to get noticed, to get herself seen. MVP fast becoming the flagship promotion for women boxers around the world. You have to imagine that both Jake and Nikisa are constantly bombarded by women boxers all around the world, just like Jasmina, that want an opportunity, but they can't truly be expected to give them all consideration. So why should Jasmina get it? What sets her apart? She wants to get herself seen, to get herself signed, quite rightly. Zapotoczna wants in. Paul is assembling an elite female roster. Make no mistake, Jasmina Sapotoczna is more than deserving of a place in that ever-increasing stable of fighters. I'd love to be a part of the MVP stable, Zapotoczna told Fight Post. An ambitious fighter who wants and is deserving of joining that MVP revolution on the female side of the sport. Paul is building a roster of some quality and also paying them their worth. The fighters signed to MVP are getting the opportunities their talents deserve. Zapotoczna quite rightly wants to join the party. MVP have announced a long-term deal with Sky, an important move for both promoter and broadcaster. Women's boxing in the UK can only benefit. Zapotoczna understands the importance of MVP and Sky working together over the next few years. I think the new era of women's boxing has begun in the UK, and obviously it's down to MVP and Sky. Zapotoczna would be the perfect addition to that ever-expanding MVP stable. A European champion was within touching distance of a fight with the undisputed world flyweight champion, Gabby Fundora, but she could compete at the weight above. MVP has options at 140. Zapotoczna, who holds wins over Maisie Rose, Chloe Watson, has been starved of the big fights. In truth, any fights. I am of the understanding that Zapotoczna has nothing in the way of a fight on the horizon. It's been frustrating, she admitted. Why does boxing seem to find a way to deny fighters fights? Well, it's because she's too good for her own good, and fighting her doesn't pay out enough. Put simply, she's part of the Who Needs You club. Despite only having 2 fights in over a year, Zapotoczna has not lost hope. I also believe it's a matter of time until the bigger fights or opportunities will come up. The 31-year-old has talent and plenty of it. In 11 professional bouts, only Shannon Ryan has beaten her. And that fight was close. Close enough that I saw some people saying they scored it for Jasmina. In 2024, Zapotoczna took a short-notice fight at super flyweight against Ryan in the away corner. Despite the obvious size disadvantages, Zapotoczna performed well and could have come away with a draw, but she rebounded with those impressive wins over Maisie Rose and Chloe Watson. Zapotoczna is coming off a win over Justine Lallement in France, a victory that was the first defense of her EBU bauble. She won well and now wants more, much more. Fights have been hard to come by as of late, but Zapotoczna firmly believes the big fights will come her way. They should. Zapotoczna hopes Jake Paul and MVP will come a-knocking, and they should. Best described as a cross between a pure boxer and a boxer puncher, as she has a pure boxer's mobility and lead hand, but she's a lot more busy than your average pure boxer. You're going to see more punches thrown by a Jasmina Sapotoczna than you would a Sky Nicholson. Even though she's a long-distance fighter who likes to stick and move and stay on the move, she's not boring. 10-1 in what are 11 professional bouts. She really is a good fighter, but of course, MVP must get a lot of suggestions, just like this one, about a lot of female fighters that you could make the case for. I think what makes the case for Jasmina is the fighters that MVP has already signed. They signed Ebony Bridges, who's up there in age. and isn't really likely to win a title at this point. Shannon Courtenay, similar situation. Nothing against either of them, but if you made room for those fighters, you could do a lot worse than sign Jasmina, who is noticeably younger. She's only 31. On the cusp of fighting for world title honors, she's already shown her quality in the Maisie Rose fight, the Chloe Watson fight, and arguably the Shannon Ryan fight that some people scored for her. She could be an unbeaten fighter right now. Though not being with a major promotional outfit but aspiring to join one, she's kept a pretty active schedule. She fought 3 times in 2024, 2 times last year. Hasn't missed a beat. MVP could do a lot worse than add Jasmina Sapotoczna to their existing roster. I think she is deserving of a chance, even though MVP cannot aspire to cater to every female fighter that's out there. There are too many. This is one I think they should pick up, especially if they're going to be doing shows in the UK on a regular basis as a result of the Sky Sports deal. You could do a lot worse than sign Jasmina. She's a damn good fighter. And now it's time for another installment of what has fast become one of the more popular segments here on the channel. Not the Ring IQ hate mail, but the Ring IQ mailbag, which is a little bit more friendly. Bottom to top, Q3. Reacting to my recent video about Terence Crawford and Ryan Garcia's comments about him. Bottom to top said, I actually agree with Ryan. If you think about it, for example, all the greats from the past, for the most part, never left question marks. The Four Kings, for example, fought everyone and pretty much left no question marks in their careers, so let's not pretend it was the same Canelo that fought Triple G, Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders, and Plant that fought Crawford. He's making excuses for Canelo, that's what gives it away. Don't get me wrong, I feel Crawford is great, but he's very calculated with his career by never being in any wars and preserving his body by just fighting once a year. Is that supposed to make Canelo Alvarez biologically older than Terence Crawford, or take away all the advantages that he had over him going in? It just sounds to me like you're trying to downplay that victory. Spence and all the other welterweights didn't want to fight him, supposedly. He should have moved up a long time ago and really challenged himself with all the young lions at 154, 160, and 168. No, it just sounds like you're setting an unrealistic standard. He would have already challenged himself and perhaps even fought the likes of Charlo, Fundora, Zayas, Castaño, Yanni Beck, Lara, Benavidez, Plant, etc. And by the way, these few undefeated fighters that he beat in reality really weren't that good. Let's keep it real. I am keeping it real. I think you're just here to make excuses for Canelo because you're bitter. And now they want to compare him with the Four Kings? Common, really. The Four Kings would beat the brakes out of Crawford. No cap. Well, let's be honest. The Four Kings, as they're often dubbed, would beat the brakes out of a lot of fighters, some that are considered great. So that's not really an indictment against Crawford. And Crawford never said he was greater than them, only that he would mix it up with them. That he would fight them, which I believe. That he could hang with those fighters? Maybe he could. Though what this long-winded paragraph of logical fallacies communicates to me is that you're just bitter. You're just looking for a way to tear him down. Because let's say that he would have left the welterweight division where he was being frozen out to move up to junior middle. He's being frozen out by the PBC, right? Well, that same PBC had the run of the place at 154. Thus, moving up there wouldn't have been any solution. They had Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo and Jamal Charlo. Lara, Fundora. If the PBC were freezing him out at 147, why am I supposed to believe they wouldn't have froze him out at 154? Why do you believe that? When the night that Sebastian Fundora beat Tim Tszyu, his longtime handler Samson Lukowicz said quite plainly they don't want to fight Crawford afterwards. They want to fight Spence. Did you forget? Did you miss that? Were you living under a rock? They literally told Crawford that he's not a big enough name, and they would prefer to fight the guy that Terence had just beat. What about Jermell Charlo? Terence wanted to fight Jermell Charlo for Undisputed, but Jermell decided to drop all the belts and move up to fight Canelo. But it's all right when Jermell does it, but it's not all right when Terence does it? He literally mentioned Xander Zayas, and that's what makes this an even more cockamamie argument. At the time that Terence Crawford moves up to junior middleweight, in the summer of 2024, Xander was a greenhorn. He didn't even have a title yet. You're saying that Crawford should have fought that guy? I think if he had, guys like you would have made the excuse for Xander that he was too young and he was too green, because if you're discrediting his win over Spence or his win over Canelo, I've no doubts you'd discredit a win over Xander. You'd make excuses for that too. Crawford moves up to the junior middleweight division in the summer of 2024. Xander Zayas doesn't become a champion there until a year later in the summer of 2025, and by then, Crawford was already on his way to Canelo. So what are you trying to convince me of? That fighting Xander would have meant a lot more than fighting Canelo? Are you stupid? Or you must think I'm stupid if you're gonna come at me with this bullshit. You're crying to me that Terence never got to fight Jermell, and he never got to fight Caleb, and he never got to fight Lara.
What do all three of those guys got in common?
Well, that Canelo Alvarez beat them.
And who beat Canelo Alvarez?
Terence Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez. So you're leveraging the merits of his legacy because he didn't fight the guys that Canelo beat, even though he beat Canelo.
What the fuck, are you retarded?
You're telling me that, well, he didn't get the same Canelo Alvarez that beat Gennady Golovkin or Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Plant.
Yeah, and Canelo didn't get the same Crawford that beat Spence because that fight was 2 years prior to their fight. He got an even older Crawford than the one that fought Spence. You're just here to make excuses for Canelo because he lost.
You know, I could say the same thing about Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Sugar didn't get the same Marvin that beat Tommy Hearns. Sugar admitted that he waited up until Marvin had lost a step before deciding to challenge him. That turned out to be the final fight of Marvin's career, while you choose to look at the Four Kings through rose-tinted lenses.
Simultaneously trying to discredit Crawford's win over Canelo. He didn't get the same Canelo from before.
Yeah, and Sugar Ray Leonard didn't get the exact same Marvin Hagler from before, so what's your point?
This guy literally brought up Yanni Beck. Yanni Beck Alimkhanalai.
At first, I was like, all right, well, go down to 160 and do it again.
Become six times.
Yeah, in four division, undisputed.
Yeah.
But Janibek popped.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So
was that a possible fight if he did it, or was that one because he would have beat Lara and had three
whoever
belts?
would have won that fight would have been three. They would have had three of the titles.
Has that ruled it then? That
Yeah.
test.
So it was just like, and I'm not.
That's it now.
You know?
Yeah. Nah.
It's cool. It just was a thought. It's like, do it again. You can do it again. You know, go down to 160 and, you know, dare to be great and fight for something that's meaningful.
So you're gonna hold it against Crawford that Yanni Beck popped hot for a banned substance.
You've got the confirmation right there that they were looking at the winner of Yanni Beck versus Lara. He wanted to fight the winner,
But the fight didn't happen. Here's a news flash, bucko. He was 37 going on 38 years old. He retired from the sport much later than Marvin Hagler did, who you hold in such high esteem.
Marvin retired at 32. Terence Crawford stuck around till 37.
What more do you want? Because what you're trying to convince me of is that a 5-weight, 4-time lineal, 4-time Ring Magazine, 3-time undisputed champion didn't do enough?
All that tells me is that for you, it's never gonna be enough because you're the kind of guy argues in bad faith.
It's never going to be enough. You're leveraging his legacy against fighters that he didn't fight, even though the fighter that he did fight beat those fighters.
Are you stupid?
Whilst pretending that he wasn't heavily avoided at 147 and 154. It's very clear what your problem is. And it's not that Terence Crawford left food on the plate.
It's that you're a sore fucking loser.
It's not that he didn't do enough. It's that for you, it's never gonna be enough. You gotta go through a lot of mental gymnastics and overlook a lot of well-documented information to come to the conclusion that Terence didn't do enough.
Because Sebastian didn't openly swerve a fight with Crawford to pursue the guy that Crawford beat. Enough already. In my previous video, I said something has to be wrong with you to agree with Ryan Garcia, of all people. You gotta be a moron.
You have to be. There's no two ways about it.
You gotta be some special kind of stupid.
Or you have to be bitter. You have to be a malcontent. You have to be a sore fucking loser. Because near as I can tell, as much as he was avoided in his prime, it's a wonder he even made it this far.
It's a wonder that he ever got the fights that he got.
I see, like, he's starting to, like, develop a little bit of, like, little bad habit. You know, sometimes he lunges with his left hand, and I get everybody make these mistakes, but I see it in every fight that he has done. I see it. So, like, and nobody's been able to make him pay. Nobody's been able to make him pay. So it's like, I'm like saying to myself, like, this competition is hindering him. He's better than, they got to step his competition up more. They have to, you know, because once he gets to the top, because that's where that motherfucker going. He going to the top. I'm sorry. You know, and look, I don't think Usyk gonna fight his ass right now. Nah, I don't. If Usyk is dancing with a damn kickboxer, then you already know he ain't fighting this damn Itauma dude. Nah.
I don't actually want Alexander Usyk to fight Moses Itauma because I'm afraid that if you put Moses in that fight, Usyk would ruin him. He's not ready.
And it's not that I disagree with Tim, that they need to step Moses up. It's that they're already doing that. People talk about this kid like he's not 21 years old with only 14 professional fights, when, for a perspective, who was Boots fighting when he was 21? Who was Virgil fighting?
When they were 13-0 and 14-0, was anybody pressuring those guys to step it up? They need to step them up the way that they're now pressuring Moses.
And he is stepping up at what? 13-0? He knocked out Dillian White in a round. At 14-0, he goes in there with Jermaine Franklin, the same one who went the distance with Dillian, the same one who went the distance with Anthony, could not go the distance with Moses.
So where is it that he's lacking? Where is it that he's not stepping up? Near as I can tell, Frank and George and the people at Queensberry are doing a fantastic job with this fighter. If I had but one critique for Moses, it's only that I would like to see him fight more often, because his fights don't often go the distance, and he's not a household name yet. I feel like he should be fighting 3 times a year, a minimum of 3.
And that's not even because I think they're doing something wrong so much as just me being a boxing fan. The guy's made for television. He's entertaining, so I would like to see him fight more often, but that's about it.
It's the only critique I got, because the way that Frank and Queensberry are moving him, everything is happening when it's supposed to. Everything is happening on schedule. He's in the so far, so good category, passing these acid tests with flying colors, but the last thing you want to do is take a promising fighter and rush him.
Kid's literally 21 years old with 14 professional fights. I'm not in a rush to see him do anything. His contemporaries are Richard Torres, Tiramoana,
Leo Attain.
to a lesser extent Agit Caballel, to a lesser extent Jared Anderson. Those are the fights for later on, down the line.
Those are his contemporaries, but I find no fault in how they've been matching him against a seasoned contender and a big puncher in Dillian White, a durable, experienced fighter in Jermaine Franklin, potentially a former champion in Murat Gassiev.
What's wrong with that?
It's not that I'm telling Moses' critics to take it easy on him, it's that the matchmakers aren't taking it easy on him. They're matching him the way that they're supposed to, allowing him time to grow and develop, because he's only 21. Now maybe the constant chatter around an Alexander Usyk fight has caused individuals in some quarters to lose patience with Moses. If he's that good, then put him in there.
That's how they're talking.
The byproduct of the hyperbole surrounding this young unbeaten fighter, and I understand that, but that's just promotion. It's just the promoters doing what they're supposed to do, promoting that young fighter. I never expected Moses to fight Usyk.
That's not gonna happen.
What Moses can do is clean house. Take care of any remaining remnants of the old guard. Anyone who is willing to fight him from the previous era that is now ending. Moses may end up fighting Murat Gassiev. If he wins, take care of Jarrell Miller after that.
That's a good fight.
Then maybe the winner of Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois, provided that it's Daniel Dubois.
You know, because him and Fabio are stablemates. They got the same trainer.
But this idea that Moses needs to pick it up or they need to move him faster, yeah, that's just a lot of bullshit. That's just being impatient. This kid's doing everything he's supposed to do, when he's supposed to do it, the way he's supposed to do it, in some instances better than expected.
No complaints from me. Queensberry's doing a great job with him.